Let's talk about your development team. They're brilliant, right? You hired them to innovate, to build the future of your company. But what are they actually doing all day? So often they're being yanked away from that critical work to put out fires, those urgent, show-stopping bugs that just bring everything to a screeching halt. If this sounds painfully familiar, well, you're definitely not alone. And this constant cycle of reactive firefighting, it's costing you way more than you think.
So I've got to ask, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Is your development team in a constant state of firefighting? Are your biggest, most exciting projects always getting shoved to the back burner because of some new, unexpected emergency? Look, this isn't just a simple scheduling headache. It's a massive red flag, a symptom of a much deeper and way more expensive problem. This firefighting actually has a formal name. It's called corrective maintenance. And the most important part of this whole definition, this is everything, are the words after the software has been delivered. This isn't planned work. It's a scramble. It's a pure reaction to fix something that is already out there, already broken, and already hurting your customers. All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. We're going to start by digging into this constant firefight. Then we'll get really clear on the 4 different types of maintenance, so you can see where your money's actually going. After that, we'll uncover the hidden costs that just snowball out of control. We'll look at the jaw-dropping 100x cost mistake. And finally, the good part, we'll lay out a path to get you from chaos to control.
Okay, let's dive right into our first section, the constant firefight. You see, being stuck in this reactive mode where you're always doing corrective maintenance, it isn't just a sign that you have a buggy product. It's a symptom of deeper problems that are quietly draining your budget and just killing your ability to innovate. So if you want to get control, the very first thing you need is clarity. A huge mistake companies make is lumping all the non-feature work into one giant, messy bucket called maintenance. But that's just not how it works. Understanding that there are actually 4 very different types of maintenance is the essential first step to taking back strategic control of your resources. At the highest level, you can really split maintenance into 2 main camps. You've got reactive and you've got proactive. Corrective maintenance is 100% reactive. Think of it like an emergency room visit for your software. You only go when something is horribly wrong. Proactive work, on the other hand, is like a routine structural inspection on a building. You do it to make sure the building never collapses in the first place. Okay, let's break this down even more. First, you've got corrective. That's our ER visit. Then there's adaptive maintenance. This is about future-proofing, like when you have to update your app for a new operating system. Perfective is where the magic happens. This is adding new features, improving performance, building cool new stuff. And finally, preventive is that ounce of prevention we talked about, refactoring messy code now to prevent a ton of bugs later. The big takeaway here, a healthy, thriving team is focused on perfective and preventive work. They're building the future, not constantly patching up the past. So how does all of this actually hit the bottom line? Let's talk about quantifying the true damage of being stuck in that reactive cycle. And I'm going to warn you, these numbers might actually shock you. Okay, get ready for this. According to a major 2022 report, the annual cost of poor software quality just in the US is at least $2.41 trillion. Let that sink in. This is not some rounding error on an IT budget. This is a massive economic anchor dragging down our entire economy. Let's bring that number down to a level you can really feel. Gartner did the math, and they estimate that the average cost of an IT outage is $5,600 per minute. That's over $300,000 an hour that your business is just bleeding because a system went down. And for a big company, that number can be way, way higher. But honestly, those direct costs, they're just the tip of the iceberg. The indirect costs, that's where the real permanent damage happens. 81% of people lose trust in a brand after a big software failure. Almost a third of your customers will leave you after just one bad experience. Your support costs can swell by 40% just dealing with bug-related tickets. And maybe the most devastating of all, nearly 70% of IT leaders say this technical debt directly prevents them from innovating and moving forward. This brings us to a really critical idea, what I like to call the 100x cost mistake. That common decision to just kick the can down the road and say, we'll fix it later. It's not a strategic trade-off. It is a massive and totally avoidable financial disaster.
So, a famous study by IBM found that the cost to fix a bug just explodes the later you find it in the process. Check this out. If you catch it in the design phase, that's your baseline cost. We'll call it 1x. Find it during coding, it's now 6 times more expensive. In testing, it's 15 times more. But if that bug makes it all the way out to a customer in production, it can cost a staggering 100 times more to fix. So why? Why does it get so ridiculously expensive? Well, just think it through. A fix in the design phase? That's just changing a document. It's easy. But a fix after release? Oh man. Now you've got customer support calls, engineers scrambling to reproduce the bug, developers being pulled off of important work, coding the actual fix, running tons of tests to make sure the patch didn't break 10 other things, an emergency deployment, all while your company's reputation is taking a hit. So the point I really want you to take away is this. A choice to fix it later is a conscious decision to multiply the cost of that problem by 100. It is one of the single most expensive decisions a business can make, and it happens every single day. Okay, that's the bad news. So how do we get out of this mess? Let's talk about moving from chaos to control. Look, some corrective maintenance is always going to be unavoidable, but your process for handling it doesn't have to be a panic-filled circus. A structured workflow is absolutely key. A best practice workflow turns a full-blown crisis into a calm, controlled response. It all starts with a clear bug report. Then, you triage it. Not all bugs are created equal, right? So you assess the business impact and fix the most critical ones first. Then the team diagnoses the issue. They implement the fix and this part is absolutely non-negotiable, they run extensive regression tests to make darn sure the fix didn't create new bugs. Finally, after it's delivered, they monitor the live system to confirm the problem is truly, actually solved. This isn't just a to-do list, it's a professional discipline. So what's the end goal of having a great process? It's about reclaiming your team's most valuable and most expensive resource, their time. A recent study found that developers spend, on average, 17.3 hours every single week on maintenance and debugging. That's nearly 45% of their time. Almost half of your top talent's week is spent not creating new value, but just reacting to old problems. And this visual just paints the perfect picture of the two worlds a dev team can live in. On one hand, you have a healthy, innovative team. They spend about 75% of their time on new features, building the future. But on the other hand, you've got an at-risk team, literally drowning in technical debt. They can spend up to 80% of their time just fixing bugs, forever stuck just patching up the past. And that leads us to the final and maybe most important question. I want you to take a hard look at your own team, at your own budget, and at your own product roadmap, and ask yourself, where is your development investment really going? Are you paying your best people to build the future of your company? Or are you just paying the high interest tax on the mistakes of the past?